Thanks for taking the time to come and hear the Regeneus story. In terms of a quick snapshot of who we are, for those of you who don't know us, we were founded in 2007. We're Sydney-based. We're listed on the Australian Stock Exchange, and that occurred in 2013. And essentially, we're a clinical stage cell therapy company. We have a portfolio of both animal and human products, and we're addressing primarily the musculoskeletal, oncology and dermatology markets. Our product portfolio is underpinned by two essential platforms. One is an adipose-derived cell therapy platform, and the other is an immunotherapy technology. So in terms of the presentation, I'll talk about those in more detail as we go through. What I thought I'd do very quickly is just give you a snapshot of our pipeline, because I'm sure Ted's going to ask me about it, so I thought I might give a visual representation, Ted, before we get into the detail. As you can see in our animal health pipeline, and the reason I put animal health up first is because the company's roots are in the vet market first. We started off with cell therapy products for veterinary animals, particularly canine and equine animals, and so that's where the company got going, and its human business really grew out of its vet business. So as you can see, we've got three products in the vet space. We have CryoShot Canine, which is an osteoarthritis product, and I can talk more about that as we go through the questions with Ted. We've got the similar technology platform, which is an allogeneic product for treating osteoarthritis in horses. And last but not least, we have a immunotherapy, an autologous cancer immunotherapy for canines. And we can talk, Ted, more about that when I get there, but that's not a stem cell product. That is a product based on the tumour itself as the source of the therapy. In terms of our human health business, you'll see there's a little bit of repetition in terms of how we use our technologies, but we have an autologous platform for adipose-derived cells for osteoarthritis and neuropathic pain, and that's called HighQ Cell. We have a product called Progenza, which is an off-the-shelf product for osteoarthritis. We have a secretions cream, which is for inflammatory skin conditions, and that product is actually uses the conditioned media from adipose cells as the source of the therapy. And we have a cancer vaccine. The same technology platform we use in our veterinary business, we also have the rights to the human market, so we have an oncology product there. So that's a bit of a snapshot, Ted, of our diversified portfolio. As you can see, we've got products that are right through in the market versus some that are just coming out of preclinical into phase 1. So and we're a little novel in the sense that we have a veterinary business as well. I think we might be not only, maybe the only one with a veterinary business here today, Ted.
Yeah, I think that is very interesting, John, and I'll kind of pick up there. Tell us a little bit more about CryoShot and about the musculoskeletal market, both for canine and equine. What are the development plans here, and what's the market potential for such therapies?
Well, maybe before I just answer that directly, I might give you a bit of context as to why we're here in the off-the-shelf space for our CryoShot products. Originally, when the company got going in 2007, we had an autologous product in the vet space. We were able to work with veterinarians who were doing what I describe as bedside. They were using fat-derived material. We'd process the cells, and we'd use those adipose-derived cells and the mixed population and some adipocytes for the purposes of creating a therapy, primarily treating dogs with arthritis and then horses. The vets found it an effective therapy, and this is back 2007, 2008, when most vets said to us, look, there are no stem cells in fat, and what are you doing talking about it? And if anything, they'll cause cancer. So, things have moved on from those early days, Ted. But the one thing we learned from the veterinarians is they said, if you want to make a business of this, you'll really need to give us a convenient product that we can access easily. So they strategically set us down the path of saying that we really needed an allogeneic product. So once we worked out that the cell therapy in an autologous way was effective, then we quickly moved into product development mode. And that's when we came up with CryoShot, which is essentially an allogeneic product. We use canine and equine fat as the source. We're able to make up to tens of thousands of therapeutic doses from one donor material. And we've had over 3,000 of these products in the marketplace in Australia as part of our field development trials. and that's largely done under a law in Australia which allows you to develop products in conjunction with vets in the field. So it really allows you to get out of the lab and actually work in real settings with veterinarians, which is very effective. So our development plans for these products today, take CryoShot Canine, that product we have targeted a pivotal study in the US, registration study to happen by the end of calendar year 16. We have a de-risking study which we plan to do at the University of Pennsylvania, and that will kick off hopefully in a couple of months. And our goal is to just make sure that everything about the trial design is nailed down, that what we have is make sure we've got the right power for the final study. The FDA, I think, are quite enthusiastic to see an animal product come through as an off-the-shelf stem cell product. So we're anticipating that we'd also like to coordinate that exercise with finding the right partner, Ted, to market. We're not a marketing group, we're a development group. So we're in discussions with the sort of parties that might like to take this product out into the veterinary market worldwide. Anti-inflammatories in the veterinary market are anywhere up to $500 million a year in sales, Ted. So the market opportunity is quite substantial for us. We'd be the first party, I think, out there at this rate with an off-the-shelf stem cell product. Its target market really is the sort of, we're attacking the NSAIDs market, we're attacking, because we're only talking about one of these shots being effective rather than monthly doses of a type of product that might, relieve arthritic pain in dogs on a monthly basis. So the CryoShot equine product is following in behind the CryoShot canine product, and I think that the equine market is a much smaller market. There is a perception that there's lots of money in the equine market, and the answer is there is, but there are very few horses out there compared to dog ownership. The equine market in Australia for us is a very attractive market. We do as much business in the development stage with horses as we do with dogs, but we know that the canine market globally is the sort of thing that attracts the vet pharmaceuticals much more than the equine market at the first stage. So that really is our plan. And we'd like to think we've got something to announce this year in relation to not only the Pennsylvania study, but also in maybe some partnering, Ted.
Great, that's helpful. So I guess sticking with the OA products and transitioning into, or the musculoskeletal products and transitioning into human, you do have a human autologous product on the market. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about that. Where are you selling it, and what are those indications?
The HighQ Cell product was developed really from our experience in the vet market. As I mentioned, we had an autologous vet product that got replaced pretty quickly by the off-the-shelf product. With HighQ Cell, in Australia, the regulatory environment is largely one where medicos have an exemption to deal with the material of a patient. If they're in a supervisory role, then they can process bedside that patient's cells and create a therapy without any suggestion that they're manufacturing a drug. Now, we worked actively with the regulator in Australia and also the medical community in looking at developing the technologies and the service business around providing medico specialists who are interested in musculoskeletal with that sort of service. I think that we worked out early on that while that is a demonstration of the technology, once again, the need long term, and as we talk to pharmaceutical companies, what we're really seeing is just an interest in an off-the-shelf product. So once again, we decided that our longer term strategy was to move into having an off-the-shelf product. We'd already done it in the vet space to create one, so the idea was to move into a human product as well, along similar lines, using similar technologies, Ted.
Okay, gotcha. Now, the second product in the animal health area is this Kvax immunotherapy for a cancer vaccine. And this is a canine immunotherapy. Mm-hmm. So what specific malignancies does this treat, and what are your partnering plans for here?
In terms of what it treats, it's a broad-based cancer vaccine, therapeutic cancer vaccine. Just in terms of just describing the product quickly to the audience, the way it works is a vet will take some tumour. Those tumour cells are then bound with a bacterial protein, and that combined, if you like, slurry is used then as an injectable back into the dog on a regular basis, and it's just an injection into the scruff of the neck. So it's subcutaneous type injection, And it comes out of the Colling Institute of Medical Research in Sydney, for those of you who know Sydney, which is a joint venture between the University of Sydney and Royal North Shore Hospital, which was one of the major teaching hospitals in Sydney. It has a substantial amount of research behind it, and we saw an opportunity to transition a large bit of research into, because it was an autologous vaccine, a fast track into a market opportunity, and it addresses all tumour types. We found that in the first 100 dogs treated as part of a safety and just getting some early efficacy reads, that safety was not an issue. There were numerous tumour types covered, from lymphomas, sarcomas, you had melanomas, you had a range of the popular diseases, cancer diseases in dogs. And the other observation I'd make that is that I heard a comment from someone the other day who said, dogs and humans actually present with certain types of diseases in a very similar manner. Diabetes would be one, osteoarthritis is another, and oncology, cancer is a third one. So what we're really doing is here addressing a disease that appears similarly in both species. So our Kvax learnings in the animal market certainly will help us in the human market, but really there isn't a cancer that we hope that Kvax will not address.
So picking up on that, similarly to what you've done in musculoskeletal, where you've moved from from the veterinary market into the human market, you're doing the same thing as you described with the immuno-oncology effort. So tell us a little bit about this cancer vaccine. It's at the same approach where you're basically taking parts of the tumor cells and binding them to bacteria. And, what are the development plans here?
Well, the development plans in the human, largely we've done our preclinical. We're currently seeking ethics approval for the first in human program that we hope to kick off in April 2015. Again, that program we've done with some leading oncologists from the Royal North Shore Hospital, and I think that it's a safety study, but of course we're hoping that it will address those who have limited treatment options, gastrointestinal, lung cancers. All cancers are acceptable under the program, and we're really looking to get a read on how patients feel quickly when they're given the treatment, but also seeing whether we get any early efficacy as well as a bit of a bonus. Just to give you a sense on the regulatory environment for these products, in the canine space, because it's an autologous vaccine, what we find is that regulators in Australia, the US, and even in the UK see this as a product where they want to regulate the process and not seek to do long clinical trials in relation to something which is very specific. It's hard to do a clinical trial when you're using the cancer of the actual animal. So therefore, we actually have a tick from the FDA's Centre for Veterinary Biologics to take this into the US market, and that's encouraging us to go and not only do marketing trials to build specific data around each cancer type, but we're also in discussions with some vet farmers who are interested in the canine oncology space. Again, you're talking a $100 million plus market for this product, and a number of the vet farmers see oncology as a real growth area. And so we're hoping to tap into their enthusiasm to look for the right fit marketing partner. And in terms of the human, we're a bit early to talk about marketing partners at this stage. We've got a bit of a road to run. We want to get our first in human data, and then we'll move on to there from some phase 2 data around some specific tumour types.
Well, it makes sense, especially if you look at the valuations that are presently being ascribed to immuno-oncology partnering efforts. So
we haven't been able to share in that yet, Ted, but that's a very good point.
So what is the current cash position, and how long will that cash last you to get through some of these upcoming milestones?
Our cash position is we have about 6 million Australian dollars, which are not as valuable as they once were, and they used to be 90-something cents to the US dollar. Now it's gone down to something like 76 cents. So, but in Australia, when we spend that, it still works. We have money until Q1 16, which was the plan, and that takes into account hitting a number of our milestones that we have in this program. So we'll be looking to talk to the investment community once hopefully we're able to unlock some of the value in our pipeline. So that's the goal. So about this time next year, hopefully we've put away what I describe as the next phase of our funding for the development, which hopefully builds upon what we're going to do over the next period.
Good, excellent. And we're just about wrapping up. Are there any questions for John from the audience? Excellent. Well, John, thank you very much for being with us today and introducing us to the Regeneus story. I think it's a new story for a lot of us here, and I think that's one of the really exciting aspects about today's lineup. So thanks for coming all the way to be with us.
Pleasure, Ted. Thanks very much.